So, hi.
Hi.
You are
Yael.
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 And you are?
Ellen Ruth.
Ellen. And I am... You will tell me who I am, please. Thank you. So good, yeah. What's up?
Oh, so my question for you was about spiritual longing. So I was thinking about it in a lot of different ways. Like one is, I think when you first, went to your teacher, obviously there was longing that brought you there. But then how do you maintain that longing? And do you feel like it's changed? And then I guess going even further then, what practices that you have helped you really stay connected?
Okay, and you?
It's interesting because the longing is an answer in my question that I got from Lama Surya Das. The question is, why do you think that there's so many Jewish teachers of Eastern traditions?
And he said longing.
He said, the search for a living master.
Well, longing's the whole thing, really. Without that, it's like our sense of direction comes from the longing that pushes us and pulls us to try to find whatever it is we think we're looking for. And it doesn't matter, I don't think it matters what religion or what culture or what language you speak. The longing is the same for all beings, to find home base, What was your question again, a little bit?
Well, I was asking you about the longing that drew you first to your teacher.
Yeah.
And,
if it changed.
Yeah, if it changed, because I think sometimes that first longing is like first falling in love, and there's this ecstasy to it, and then maybe as time goes, the quality changes in the longing.
It's interesting. The only thing that changed is that when Maharaji left the body, I got, for years and years and years, I got very depressed, very, very bad shape, because it took me a long time to surrender to the fact that if I was going to find that love again, I had to look inside of me. I had to find it. It was never anywhere else. Even though I was looking at him outside, where was the love? Over there? No, it was in me. But I was using his presence, physical presence, as a button to push, to open my own heart. So once he was gone, because I was an asshole and very stubborn and angry with a lot of issues, that I refused to look for my own button, And then when I realized that what it was, that's when I started chanting, after 20 years, after he'd been gone. So the longing intensified at that point, because then I recognized that I could find this, even though the one that I fell in love with was apparently gone from the physical plane. The love was still there. How could I find it more deeply? That's when it really... And I realized that was the longing that was pulling me through all the different phases of my life, where I would get stuck here, I would look for this, I would go for this, I would get strung out on that. It was never enough. Nothing I did was enough to destroy that longing, and I tried every way I could. So, because I did have a chance to meet him in the body, it gives me a sense of confidence that it can be done. Before I met him in the body, it was just about books. I didn't see it anywhere. People could have made it up, right? Anybody could write a book. But when I saw it with my eyes, my own eyes, then that's, deal's done. It's only a question of time, then. And living through all the time until you just finally fall into it by surrendering to the whole process.
When you were around him, energetically, your body felt totally different, didn't it?
I don't know. I wasn't thinking. I was just in it.
Right, got it.
Yeah. We also went there, we're very young, And we hadn't been doing it much. We didn't know much about practice. There wasn't a lot of practice being done in America, right?
Right.
Well, what do we know about all that? So we were just like, and also we didn't have lives. We were kids. We had no life. We never did anything. No, the only one who did anything was Danny. He had gone to school, to Harvard. The rest of us were bums. You know, we hadn't done anything. And we were just like, our whole lives were in front of us, but we thought we had reached a pinnacle. It was very interesting. So we have to come back around until we've taken all that in and transmuted all that and transformed it all. Everything we thought that was outside to the inside. And the chanting is the practice for me that lets me in the room where the love is, where that presence is. And it's becoming more impersonal, and not such a personal. It's a very personal, impersonal presence. You know, it's very real. It's very there. And for me, that's Maharaji, but it's not this little guy in the blanket. You know? If it was, how could I feel? You know, then he'd be there and be somewhere else. So the things that are so obvious, they're not obvious to you until they become obvious. You know? The rest of the time, it's just like, huh, what's going on? Yeah, okay. Oh. So,
As T.S. Eliot says, we shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time.
yeah. Yeah. That's good. Anything else? You had another question or another part of it?
Yeah, so for you it's chanting.
Well, did you ask about Jewishness?
I had stuff
You
about
asked.
that.
Uh-huh.
So, I just wondered because, it's a strong identity being Jewish. I guess whatever background you come from, it's strong. You know, and
it's not strong for me. See, that's
what I wondered.
Yeah.
Was it? And did you
Nobody
feel
in
like
my
you
family-
left something, or
No, it was just family stuff. Nobody did any work on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't bad people, but they were, they were just fighting over the Pope's nose. And if you're Jewish, you know what that is. So, no, it was no sense of. It just seemed like more and more stuff. There was no freedom from it. There was no release from it all. And it was just my life. It wasn't. There was no religious.
there wasn't a
anything.
spiritual connection?
Not a spiritual thing. There was, enough religious stuff going on, but not even my father and my mother, they weren't interested in it. My grandparents were still going through the motions to some degree, but very little. So there wasn't really anything. It was never presented as a path at all. And I had never gotten a hit from it that way. So when I was looking for something, it didn't seem, that wasn't one of the things that showed up. The first thing that showed up for me was Autobiography of a Yogi and the Gospel of Ramakrishna. I read the Gospel of Ramakrishna, weeping over the mother. It's like, I couldn't believe it. Really? Yeah. But still, it was just the books at that point.
After World War II, about 80% of the Jewish people who were holding the mystical tradition were killed. And after I had asked Lama Suryadas that question of why do you think so many Jewish people are teachers of Eastern tradition and also attracted to it, somebody who studied with Rabbi Zalman Schechter, are you familiar with him? Sure. Said, you want to hear what he said? And I was very interested, and he said that after the Holocaust, there was so much schmutz, dirt from the death. There's so much death around that the Jewish people had to look to the East to get purified. And then somebody else who studied with him said to me that he said that teachers were sent from the East to help purify. So I think for me, when I reflect on, because I'm very attracted to Eastern thought and at the same time Jewish mysticism, but there aren't that many living teachers of Jewish mysticism around. I feel really deeply that there was a gap right after World War II. And there was like an unraveling. And that idea of searching, you know, what you brought up about the longing, that's searching for a living master who, as you said, you can't just get it from a book. You have to get it from somebody who embodies it.
Yeah. You know, those kind of things, I don't think about that stuff much. I don't think about Indian stuff either. I think about how am I going to get through the day without walking into a wall and banging my head against it. You know, that's basically what my day is like. I don't think that much about philosophy and reasons why. You know, it's hard enough just getting through the day. And, yeah, it's all good stuff if it helps you. If it helps us get through the day, it's all good.
And I think what you
Like
brought up here,
I had an aunt that was considered to be a saint. They considered her a saint. Why? She never complained. That was the qualification for a saint in my family. And she was the only one, you know. So,
your grandmother?
and that was my grandmother's sister. So,
Because you know how many Jewish mothers does it take to change a light bulb? It's okay, I'll sit in the dark.
it's okay, I'll sit in the dark. That's funny. Yeah. I remember reading Martin Buber's book on the stories of the Baal Shem Tov, and just weeping. So beautiful. It just felt like Maharaji, you know? Great stories. And there's another book called The Light and Fire of the Baal Shem Tov. It's a big book by someone named Buxbaum, I think. Fantastic. The whole life story and all these hundreds and hundreds of stories.
Say the name of the book
The
again.
Light and Fire of the Baal Shem Tov. Fantastic book. So, you know, the story about, you know, when George W. was president, he called in the CIA and FBI and the NSA and gets these guys, okay, I want you to tell me, find out how these Jews know everything before everybody else. I got to know, and I want to know by next week. Come back here, everyone you tell me. Next week they reconvene, and the guys from the NSA said, Mr. President, we figured it out. We know how it happens. Tell me how. He said, one Jew meets another Jew, and they look at each other and they go, so new? And then they exchange information, right? He says, I have to see this myself. So they spend a month teaching them how to walk and how to daven, and they get makeup artists and this and that with the old thing and everything, and they drive him secretly to a corner around the corner from an old shul in Brooklyn. And he makes his way into the shul. He shuffles up, gets into the seat and sits there for a while, you know, praying. And there's another old Jew next to him. He goes, so new? Shh! They're waiting for the president. And on that note, which is a B flat demented, by the way.
Thanks for identifying it.
Yeah, okay. Anything else? Okay.
Very good.
Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
you.
Thank you. See you in Nyack.
Yes.
See you at Garrettson.
Okay. Oh, good. Great. Take care.
Thank you. Cool. Thank you very much. Lovely to meet you.
You too.